Shalom Yashrala, this your brother Dawada, coming back at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, Bahashim, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, the elders, great millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And salutation, much love for you, I can push this truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. So I want to jump to this here lesson real quick, which is dealing with, as far as we, the times we're living in now, these Edomites and their pride went from, being super happy about a lot of the things that, they used to do, how do I say, I'm proud to be an American, all this, the different pride and the things they had going on, to now it's to the point to where, they have this here rhetoric that's going out, and it's crazy. They even got Jake, repeating and believing in some of these things, as far as, their history and going into like certain things with slavery and stuff like that, I call it a Edomite Jedi mind trick. You ask them about, they get all tough and proud about what their forefathers did. We fought for this country, this and that. I'm an American, all these things. Like, okay, well, who did you guys fight to take, to get this here land? When you bring up the Native Americans, they, oh no, we didn't kill off the Native Americans. It wasn't us, Well, we didn't come at that point in time. We came later, all right? Then so y'all pretty much, because the so-called natives was taken down before Judah and them came over here on the slave ships, all right? So then they say, oh no, well, my forefathers didn't have slaves. Well, what point in time did you come over here? They will have you believe that, what their rebuttal type is a very small percent of Edomites own slaves over here and everything else like that. Hey, man, it's just like, to the point, it's like, hey, man, we can say that the cops are oppressing Jake, but, comparably to the amount of Edomites here in America, there are very few of those, very few Edomites are actually cops, but still, it's the same thing, man. All right, hey, they would always say this was like 1%, but, now all of a sudden the percentages of these things is going down and down and down, as if like, they would have you believe that, not very many, the perception they're trying to get you to understand is basically, very little percentage of Jake was in captivity. Very little bit of Edomites actually own slaves, and then they try to sometimes even throw the narrative that, more Jakes own Jakes in captivity than Esau did. All right, and this is not true. Just like how they would tell you that, Judah is only 13% of the population. Like, well, wait a minute. Wasn't Judah 12 to 13% of Judah was brought over into America on cargo slave ships? And you tell us every day, every year that we populate more than everybody else here in this here, country, and yet we still only 13% of the population here, even though Edomites are have a declining in birth rate. So if you don't really question a lot of these things, man, you be believing all their damn lies. But hey, we know what the truth is, man. All right, Jake was down here in captivity up under these Edomites, man. All right, hey, no matter how you say it, they was the people that was in control, the people that was in power. All right, just like on the world stage, hell, we look at what we call the Middle Eastern people and everything else like that. How they say that they had something to do with 9/11. Well, hey, all the people that had something to do with quote unquote 9/11, the people that they blame, let's just use that narrative. The people that they blame for that, they all died in those plane crashes. Then how come you went and you hated a whole so-called nation of people? All right, you went and took those people into captivity, man. All right, the same thing that's going on over there in the land of Israel, where it's really only the higher ups is doing that to those so-called other people, and then the other people on the other side, it's only the higher ups over there. Well, how come you blaming the whole nationality of people? But when it comes to us, we can't call Esau out for his things, man. All right, but hey, this is what Esau's being ashamed for, man. All right, matter of fact, I'm gonna grab some. We'll come back to it, and then get on with this lesson. Let me start at the top. Obadiah 1:1, it says, the vision of Obadiah. Thus saith Yahweh power concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from Yahweh, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. It says, behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. So now, Esau was the talk of the town at one point in time, man. Everybody was talking about Esau, wanting to be Esau and trying to be, we want to be like the so-called white man and live like him and everything else. Now it's a reproach to be called anything like that, man. You even have these Edomites saying, they feel this so-called guilt. It's like, oh, we can be whatever we want to be here in America except for a straight so-called white man. That's the worst thing you could be here in America. Hey, man, but look at what you've been doing, man. Now you're being reproached for the things that you've been doing. All right. Matter of fact, there's let me see. Well, we'll come back to this actually. There was another precept I was going to grab on that. Oh, I got you. Let me go over here to Ezekiel 36 real fast. All right. Because, hey, they like to try to slip up out of these things, but this is basically, how do I say, this is the the footprint of their forefathers, for lack of a better term. This is what they've wound up doing. So Ezekiel 36:1 says, also thou son of man, prophesy unto the mountains of Israel, and say, ye mountains of Israel, hear ye the word of Yahweh. Thus saith Yahweh power, because the enemy has said against you, aha, even the ancient high places are in our possession. So, amen. Let me see. Let me go back real quick. Matter of fact, it might be Ezekiel 35 where it says this. Yep. Ezekiel 35:10 says, because thou hast said, these two nations and these two countries shall be mine, and we will possess it, whereas Yahweh was there. And think about it, man. What two places are you talking about? What two places was Jacob? So let's talk about, well, we could talk about the land of Israel. That's a number one giveaway. All right. We're not over in that land right now, controlling that land. And, the southern kingdom was pretty much exiled up out of there, man. All right. In the year, 70 AD? That was when we was exiled up out of there. But then you go and you follow the northern kingdom, the so-called lost 10 tribes. And where was they at, man? After they left their captivity, they came over to where? To the Americas. And to when? Like the scripture said, into the latter end, when they shall come. Roughly paraphrasing, talking about Christopher Columbus and all them guys and everything else like that, and put the northern kingdom into captivity. So what, the two landmasses where Israel was living at, all right, here in Americas and over in the land of Israel, guess who's in possession of both of those places, man? All right, the land of Israel, you got the Amalekites, which are Edomites as well. All right, then over here, you got these Edomites ruling over top of the northern and the southern kingdom, man. All right, like the scripture say, where Jacob or Judah and Israel was oppressed together. All right, we're right here in this here same place, man. All right, being oppressed on this here same landmass. So they said that these two lands would be ours. All right, but yet and still, they was, oh no, well, you bring it up to them now, like, well, only a small percentage of Edomites owned slaves, and only a small percentage was doing this and doing that. We wasn't part of this. We wasn't part of it. Hey, but you was over here partaking in the so-called spoils of these things. This is the land of my forefathers. My forefathers fought for this. My forefathers, I got a right to be here. Go back to your, all that animosity you had when you used to tell people go back to your country and everything as if this was your country. All right, you was laying claim to these things at that point in time. At that, back then. All right, you was walking around proud to be an American, and when they was making all these so-called racist jokes and clan jokes and all these different things, and putting Jake down and everything, when y'all was up in that position of power before you was greatly despised, hey, they was proud to be Edomites back then. They was proud of their history at that point in time. But now, I remember back when I was in like middle school and stuff like that, in high school, these what we call down here, it's funny because it's a nickname that you give these Edomites, you know what I'm saying? And Edom goes into the color red, but they call them rednecks. All right, they was always proud to be Confederate, proud to be rednecks, proud to be all these different things. But now they're being reproached for the things that their forefathers have done, and now they want to run from this here history, man. Oh no, I'm part Native American. My forefathers didn't do this. I'm part black, and I found this and I found that. Hey man, they want to be everything but themselves now, man. All right, beforehand it was like Judah and Israel, they wanted to be everything but who they were. But now all of a sudden the Edomites, they want to be everything but a goddamn Edomite right about now, man. All right, because they're being reproached for the things that they've been doing. So let's go back, actually. Okay, just slid over. Ezekiel 36, let's read this again. Ezekiel 36 and 2, thus saith Yahweh power, because the enemy have said against you, aha, even the ancient high places are in our possession. Therefore prophesy and say, thus saith Yahweh power, because they have made you desolate and swallowed you up on every side, that you might be a possession unto the residue of the heathen, and ye are taken up in the lips of talkers, and you are the infamy of people. So hey man, when we was the laughing stock, the butt of all the jokes, playing blackface and look at these niggers and all these different things like that, making these jokes, I seen a funny little I guess a video meme on YouTube not too long ago. The dude was doing he said what it used to be like playing Call of Duty back in the day, I guess. And it's just funny, I never really experienced this and nothing like that, seen none of this, but I can only imagine what the shit is like. He's making a sense like he's getting online to play Call of Duty, put his headset on, and all they doing is singing nigger, nigger, nigger in the background, as if like, this is a thing. You play on any of these online games, you turn on the little microphone, and that's all you hear. These Edomites behind the screen and everything else like that being all tough. But now all of a sudden, it's a reproach for them, man. All right, because now they're being actually called out for all their atrocities. Beforehand, it was just like, what? They use these things to beat us down. Yeah, my parents owned your parents as slaves, or ha, 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 to belittle us. But now when we go and say, yeah, your parents owned our parents as slaves and everything. No, it wasn't. We didn't have slaves, because what? They feel it inside of them right now. That what? The Most High is about to pay them back for these things. But let's continue reading. Verse 4 says, therefore, ye mountains of Israel, hear the word of Yahweh power. Thus saith Yahweh power to the mountains, and to the hills, and to the rivers, and to the valleys, and to the desolate waste, and to the cities that are forsaken, which become a prey and derision to the residue of the heathen that are round about. You know, you even have the residue of these heathen, the rest of these nations is making jokes, you know, nigga, go home, all kind of different things like that. You know, these other nations that be in our neighborhoods and things like that making these jokes. But now all of a sudden, you know, they want to, you know, you hear them now, they demeanor in the stores, they talk, what's up, brother? What's up, brother? They want to be all buddy with you now, man. All right, it says, therefore, thus saith Yahweh power, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen, and against all Idumea, all right, which is another way of saying Edom, all right, which have appointed my land into their possession with the joy of all their heart and with the spiteful mouths that cast it out as a prey. All right, so hey, you know, going into them as far as possessing our lands and things like that. This is what these Edomites have done, man. All right, and you know, like now, you know, like the scriptures say, you know, the Lord has made them small among the heathen. All right, they're greatly despised. In fact, let's go back and grab that real quick. While Obadiah 1 and 2. All right, it says, behold, I've made thee small among the heathen, thou art greatly despised. And now all these, you know, everybody that's had a hand, and well, we can grab that as well too. But everybody that's had a hand in our downfall. Matter of fact, let's just get it real quick. But everybody that's had a hand in our downfall is now being reproached, man. They're all being hang on one second. They're all being brought down. It says Jeremiah 30 and 16. It says, therefore all that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thy adversaries, every one of them shall go into captivity, and they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and all that prey upon thee will I give for a prey. And it seems like this is the sentiment that's in their spirit right about now. They feel like, oh, damn, there's a tab that I'm going to have to pay. You know, it's like you in a restaurant, you got all this here food, you keep ordering up. You're starting to realize that the restaurant is empty, and now it's getting to the end of the situation, and the server keep looking over there at you and everything else like that, trying to, you know, weigh you up, see if you about done before they bring you a check. And now you realizing, oh, shit, they over here eyeing me up. They about to bring a check. Now you feel, you know, you starting to sweat beneath the collar because you, oh, damn, I got to pay for this now, man. All right, now this is how Esau and these nations are starting to feel right about now, man. All right, all the different atrocities they've been doing to Jake, all these things is coming out of how Jake was treated the most horrible on the planet Earth, man. All right, and at the hands of mainly Esau, but even at the rest of these heathen, man. Now they trying to make amends meet, but hey, at the end all be all, you know, they have to be paid back for these things. They have to be justified for these things. Let me grab this as well too, because, you know, let me let the scripture speak on it. What is it? Yeah, Daniel 9 and 12, it says, and he hath confirmed his word which he spake against us and against our judges that judged us, by bringing upon us a great evil. For under the whole heaven have not been done as have been done unto Jerusalem. All right, and so now all these different atrocities, you know, they say about all these inhumane things, you know, they like to bring out the black on black crime and all these different things, but when you start digging into the woodwork of what Esau's done to Jake, hey man, they want to try to change all the history. They want to get rid of slavery never happened. The slaves was voluntarily coming over here. We didn't take them away from, we didn't separate the families, we didn't cut the babies out of the wombs, we didn't do all these things, we didn't, you know, just send them on death marches to kill them, the Trail of Tears. We didn't do that, man. It was, you know, and then they, again, like I said, they try to spin the story, like, let's just say for the Trail of Tears, how, you know, what's the nigga name, Andrew Jackson, I believe it was, who marched the Native Americans pretty much until they died, all right, to put them on reservations with the Indian Removal Act. Oh, no, you know, they willingly went on this here journey, and, you know, we tried to give them all this and give them that, but they refused all these things, so they just died. We tried helping them. Nah, man, that ain't the scenario, man. All right, these people went over there trying to kill their ass, man, just like how they try to rewrite the stories, and now they try to bring democracy and liberty to these nations in the Middle East that they blowing the hell up. But we see what you do over there doing. You're destabilizing these countries. You're not trying to help these countries just like you did Jake. Oh, we gave them blankets to keep them warm. How the hell you gonna try to comfort somebody who got home field advantage? Jake knew how to survive over here. What the hell you gonna try to do coming over as a foreigner trying to teach them how to survive on their land? You gave them smallpox and things like that, man. All right, but hey, you know, there has never, like it says, for under the whole heaven have not been done as have been done to Jerusalem. So all the most atrocities have been done to you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, mainly by the hand of the so-called white man. All right, but now he's being greatly despised for these things. He's trying to change the narrative. He's trying to change history. They got that critical race theory and everything else like that. Oh, we got to create the law so that Esau don't be feeling bad for the things that his father and his forefathers done, man. Now he's got to try to change the whole narrative of all these different things. Let me see. I know it ain't that. Oh, here it is. Jeremiah 16 and 19. It says, oh, Yahweh, my strength and my fortress and my refuge in a day of affliction. The Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth, and shall say, surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanity and things wherein there's no profit. So all these people talking about oh, we're great, my forefathers fought for this land and everything else like that. Yeah, but it's not a profit until you to be claiming all these things, because what did you wind up doing in order to get all these things, man? All right, this is my land, my forefathers fought for this. Who did your forefathers fight? Oh, your forefathers touched the apple of the Most High's eyes. Oh, your forefathers took down the Lord's children. Oh, your forefathers have destroyed the Most High's people, man. And so now you have to pay for these things. So now they're like, oh, we inherited lives. We weren't the greatest people on the earth. We actually was the worst people on the face of the earth. They weren't the saints of the earth. They were the most demonic people on the face of the earth, man. This is the worst, the worst of the worst things that you could do. Just imagine. It's one thing, let's just say in the terms that we talk nowadays, it's one thing to go out and try to so-called round up, criminals and things like that. Let's just say like on that show, To Catch a Predator and things like that, man. To round up those guys and then do horrible things to them, lock them up in jail and all these different things. Like, nobody really feel bad for them because those are so-called bad guys. But if you was to go, and this is a term in just in generalization, how we speaking, if you was to go do that to so-called church-going people, you would be a horrible person. Like, all they in there doing is praying and stuff like that. Obviously, those are harlot houses, but in just a general sense of terms, you know what I'm saying? You would think that those would be so-called saints. But, hey, that's what Esau wound up doing it to us, man. All right, instead of going to go, take out the actual wicked people who are their own selves, they came and took out, the Lord's people. But again, this was all prophesied that these things would happen. Yeah, we went off from the Most High and His law, statutes, commandments. This was our punishment. But guess what? You still have to pay for these things, man. All right, but now a lot of these Edomites are waking up to this here truth. All right, they have to wake up to the fact of they have to pay for these things, man. All right, they have to wake up to the fact that, hey, this is the doings of them and their forefathers, man. All right. Let me just real quick. Sirach 41:6. The inheritance of sinners' children shall perish. All right, and that's they feel that coming upon them, and their posterity shall have a perpetual reproach. And that's what's going on with their children's children. Even if they're being born, you're seeing a lot of even these Edomite women, all right, or these so-called perceived Edomite women. All right, they now say, I don't want to have no baby with no so-called white man. They want to go get a Jake baby put up into them, man. They want to so-called darken up their skins, man. You hear them even saying in some of their slightest some of their conversations and things like that, they try to darken up their skin, get a darker complexion and things like that, trying to darken up their lineage and everything else like that, because they want to so-called forget about these things, man. All right, they want to so-called try to blend in and everything else like that. But hey, ultimately, no matter what your skin color is, man. Hey, if your forefather is an Edomite, your forefather is an Edomite, or you're an Edomite. If your forefather is an Israelite, then you're an Israelite, man. All right, but it says, verse 7, the children will complain of an ungodly father because they shall be reproached for his sake. All right, and really, you are being reproached for your own sake because you are your forefathers. But that's what's going on right now. These people are having their children, and their children are going to school and being taught the history of their forefathers. Like when I was a kid in school, they didn't mind teaching about slavery. They didn't mind teaching about the horrible atrocities that Esau was doing, and it was really on a light level. It wasn't even to the full extent to what they was doing. But yeah, they taught about slavery and things like that. For Jake, that was when their so-called history started. They act like, when I was in school, that the so-called black man's history started as, oh, you was just swinging on trees in Africa, and the white man came and civilized your ass and, put you up in America, brought you on slave ships and enslaved you and did all these things. But at least, he civilized you at a certain point in time after doing all this cruel shit, But now all of a sudden they want to erase that. Oh, well, only a small percentage of so-called Negroes was actually enslaved over here, and an even smaller percent of so-called white people had slaves over here. Most white people came over here, they were poor too. Most white people that's alive today came over after the fact. Well, what happened to all these white people that were slave owners beforehand? Did they all just die off and not have kids? Where did they go, man? So, and how did you inherit their riches? They the ones who had all these plantations and the cotton fields and everything and made all this here money. What did they do? They just wound up dying off and then leave no inheritance, and nobody, and these so-called white folks came over here with no farming skills, none of these skills and nothing like that, and just came and outperformed everybody else. How did these systems continue working when they call systematic racism and stuff like that? Come on, man. We ain't stupid to these things, but hey, you got 2/3 of Jake that'll believe some of this shit too. They're like, nah, well, you hear them regurgitating the same thing. No, not all white people own slaves, and nah. Hey, bro, come on, man. Let's not get it twisted, man. All right, these folks and their families and everything else like that, was all in cahoots with all these same people, man. All right, one thing that we can agree on: if you was back in those times, it would have been better off for you to be a goddamn Edomite. Let's just say in that time, it's never better to be an Edomite than an Israelite. But in that point in time, it would have been better for you to be an Edomite than an Israelite, man. You didn't have no so-called white people at that point in time trying to be a so-called black man in that point in time, man. All right, you had black people, so-called black people trying to run from the so-called white man and run from being their own selves, where they would jump off the goddamn slave ships instead of going into captivity under you Edomites. So come on, don't even get it twisted, man. All right, we forget about all these things, but this is what these people try to do. They try to complain about an ungodly father, man. They try to, let me see verse 7 again. It says the children will complain of ungodly fathers because he shall be reproached for his sake. And that's what they trying to do, change up the story right about now for the things that didn't happen, man. But at the end all be all, they're going to have to pay for these things. We'll close out with this real quick in Obadiah 1, I think in verse 10. It says, for thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. And this is what's going on. They're being greatly despised among the heathen, all right, and that shame is covering them. All right, and they know that their end is about to come, so guess what? They want to walk around with their heads down and try to take that mark up off of them, but guess what, man? All right, you're going to want to be found, man. All right, there's no escaping this here judgment, man, so you might as well live it up, you know, like the scripture say, hey, rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom, man. Go ahead and live it up. This is your end all be all, man, because, hey, you're going to still have to pay for it at the end of the day, man. You know, like I gave an example about you ordering up all this food in the restaurant. Go ahead and finish your plate, man. You still got to pay for it. It's not like, you know, you're going to just stop chewing and say, I don't want to eat no more. I ain't going to have to pay for it. You've already ordered the food. We've already cooked the food. We've already brought the food to you. And you've already started digging into it. So you got to pay for it now, man. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close out with that. Lord willing, the elect was edified with this here lesson. Until next time, I say, call halal Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shah, Bahashem Rakak Kudash. Double honor to the apostles and the elders, a great millstone that taught us this truth, and I rule well. And salutation and much love for you. I can push this truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth, and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. Till next time, I say, stay strong. Shalom.